Hey guys, what's up? It is the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite days, anything. And today, finally, it is the start of List Week 2019. And yeah, for the rest of the decade, every single day, I'm gonna put out a list-related video. I still have a couple of movie reviews not yet done, and one more TV review, but after that, it's all lists. So we're gonna start off with, I guess, two of the most pointless lists in my 11 lists, and that would be my best and worst days of 2019. And you know what? Let's just start off with the worst days first, because we're gonna leave the good ones for last. So, top 10 worst days of 2019. Let's go. So we have two dishonorable mentions this time. For one, we have May 28th, 2019, where, yes, Topher, one of my enemies, got exposed for one of the dirty little secrets of his, which is pretty nice. But other than that, I feel like I was being neglected. I feel like I was being ignored. I got pissed, and it wasn't fun. And then we have July 27th to 29th, which is supposed to be a very fun couple of days for me, because I was at mainland China, I was at Guangxi, and I was having fun traveling around, sightseeing. But here's the catch. I had a sore throat that's more painful than any sore throats I've ever had. It's at least five times worse than any sore throat I've ever had. It was so painful I could barely drink water. I can't eat, of course. I can't speak. And breathing actually hurts. It's that bad. And the reason behind it is actually before I went to mainland China to travel, I had the hand, foot, mouth disease, which involves an extremely agonizing, painful sore throat. So that explains. But I got better after like 8 days ish. And I forgot to mention November 11th, which is a terrible day for Hong Kong in general. But basically, when I was about to take a bus to school that morning, somebody got shot about a block away from me. And for my classmate Topher, it is right downstairs of his residence. And also on the same day, I found out that 5 of my classmates were arrested by the cops. So yeah, it's a terrible day for Hong Kong in general. But it's only in the dishonorable mentions because I guess it didn't impact me as much. I guess I was late to school, but yeah, still, because of this day, I felt angry for my fellow classmates. They really deserved better. Anyway, at number 10, we have June 7th, where I originally want to upload a video in my YouTube channel because I love doing this. I don't know why, but on that day, I have to go to my mom's friend's house alongside with a bunch of my mom's other friends and a bunch of my brother's other friends, and I couldn't do anything. I could barely think over there. And also on the same day, my mom got pushed and fell onto the ground, and we didn't leave that place until midnight, so I was pretty pissed about it. Anyway, it wasn't as bad as number 9 on May 26th. Ooh, that's actually just a couple of days before 28th. But anyways, my third phone suddenly had a purple patch at the bottom right corner of the screen monitor, and it actually already started at the previous night, but I didn't know what the hell it was. And in the next morning, the purple patch just spreaded, and my mom took my phone to the Samsung fixing center and tried to fix it. So I didn't get to use my phone on that day. I didn't know what to do. Uh, and yeah, I guess nomophobia, I guess. But come to think of it, it's actually not that bad. But I guess the worst thing about that day is that I was really worried about my phone because something like that had never happened. And it's called phone cancer. I call it phone cancer because once you get a small little purple patch on your phone screen, the patch is it's gonna spread and expand, and it's gonna cover your entire phone and damage your entire phone at the end. So I got phone cancer 3 times. At number 8, it is February 20th. During dinner, my parents sort of invaded my privacy, and I was really pissed off because of that. So I was sort of rude, and both my parents got mad, and my mom yelled at me for half an hour, and she thought I was a cold-blooded autistic freak, and she disabled my computer for as long as she wants. Yeah, it's a very childish thing. But I guess it just wasn't a great day for me. Anyway, at number 7, it is March 1st. Still not being able to use the computer after the incident that I just talked about a couple seconds ago. But on top of that, if you know me, my immune system is absolute garbage, and I had like sores in my mouth, and one sore in my mouth, in my gum, and 2 more on my tongue. I couldn't pronounce L's and R's, and I couldn't even speak. And then we have PE class, and I was a total loser in PE class. And I was just really, really sad and just sort of despair that day. Desperate, I guess. And back then, earlier on in 2019, I wasn't like very social. So whenever I speak up, it's weird. And I would complain about my school life being absolutely meaningless, and people like Harry, Adam, and Russell would comment on that as well. But they're good people, so there's that. Anyways, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. At number 6, it's actually a period of time between March 28th and April 2nd. So the midterms are happening, my second last midterms in my life. And I didn't revise much for the midterms because I didn't have enough time, and I was stressed and I have YouTube stuff to do. On March 28th, I was late for 4 minutes, even though I wasn't that nervous about being late because I've been late for a few times already. But I was late for the test, I think. Yeah. So it was bad. And then on March 29th, I lost an earbud on my earphone. And usually when that happens, it sucks because once the earbud goes missing, chances are it's gonna be missing forever, for the rest of the life. It's just gone to a parallel universe. And on April 2nd, the biology test is absolutely difficult. It was super confusing, and I ran out of time. And also on the same day, I got to meet with Cedric, my best friend, who just came back to Hong Kong from Scotland because it was a half-term break or a term break or something. And I decided to have dinner with Cedric, except Natalie, Topher, Pink, and Leo also wanted to have dinner with Cedric. So I followed them around, but since Topher and I are, not in a good relationship, it was a hell of an awkward dinner. At one point in the dinner, I even whispered to Cedric, who sat beside me. I whispered to him, like, wow, this is very awkward. It's very embarrassing. Let's just finish this quick. And then Topher heard it, and Topher was like, can you please say this louder? And it was awkward. It was embarrassing. But right now, we're already in good terms. We have already buried the hatchet. But back in the beginning of 2019, we were very much not liking each other. Anyway, at number 5, July 8th to 9th. Not only was I very sleep deprived on these 2 days, my phone also had a purple patch. Again, phone cancer. Again. For like I think the second time, which is terrible. Anyways, number 4. Now it's gonna start getting fun. Number 4. It's actually January 14th, and it is the last day of the final exam, or more like the half year exam of 11th grade. And the last exam is physics, and I didn't even understand half the paper. It was just terrible. I did it terribly in physics, but afterwards I was relieved because, hey, the exams are over, and I get to relax and enjoy life. And then I followed everyone else to a nearby McDonald's where we usually just stay and, kill time. And the reason why we go there is because, all the exams are finished for me, but there are still a lot of other people who had to take the M2 exam, Maths Module 2. So, they had to stay there for a while, and then later they're going to return to school and take that exam. And Tom and Topher were there. So it was pretty awkward for me. I remained silent for like 2 hours straight. And then at one point, everyone left. And I thought, some people are taking the M2 exam, and some people aren't. And where are those people going? And I thought they're going back home. But I want to stay with them because I know that usually they would, play and hang out after the exam, after all the exams are done. And then nobody said anything to me. Nobody said anything about a hangout after all the exams had finished. So at the end, I just bought lunch at McDonald's, went back home, eat on my own, and was really sad and was pretty lonely. And then, guess what? Turns out, at the end, they actually did hang out. A hangout actually did happen. A photo shoot actually happened. And I had no idea. I had no idea. They didn't tell me that they're gonna hang out because I'm such a fucking loser now. They can't really tell me anything. At number 3, we have April 4th. In the morning, I was 20 seconds away from being late, but I was still on time, so I guess that's a good thing. And Hans accidentally pushed over my table by accident. And then afterwards, in the PE class, we had the 9-minute run exam, which is the most nightmarish, the most horrifying, mortifying, dehumanizing activity ever in PE class, where you just run for 9 minutes and people have to count how many laps you've ran. But you need to be fast because every time you slow down and someone runs past you, people laugh at you. People see you as this idiot. I don't see it like that anymore, but I was still pretty competitive. And it was hellish for me because I'm bad at breathing. I know it's not a thing, but like I'm actually bad at breathing. So when I run, I would literally sound like this. And I do this to a point where my throat gets super dry and actually hurt, and my diaphragm actually may as well fucking dissect it in half because I can't afford to live anymore. And immediately after this, we have the English group discussion assessment. And then immediately after this, we have the chemistry practical experiment test. And then immediately after this, we have to do biology homework. And immediately after this, we have the Chinese writing homework. And to add salt to the wound, because I and Topher were still in bad terms, and Natalie was very much on Topher's side back then, Natalie pranked me by throwing garbage into my school bag, which is weird because I thought she's a very mature person, but I guess she wasn't at that state of mind. And she sort of did it to signal that the stage 2 of the war between me and Topher had begun, even though it never really started. Anyways, at number two, unfortunately, it is October 24th, Mary's birthday. Mary. To give you a little backstory, I was Mary's friend for 2 months-ish, and we stopped being friends because of Bernice, another girl. And it wasn't like a couple years after that where I start to realize that Mary's actually an incredibly fascinating person. Her personality, the way she speaks, the way she does things. I mean, everything about her is just so magical, and there's something deep about her personality that I just can't quite grasp. And I've been wanting to speak to Mary for like 2 years now. And every time I see her, I freeze up. Like, I really want to talk to this girl, but I just can't because I would stutter, I would sweat, I would panic whenever she's like within 10 meters radius. And it was October 24th, and it was her birthday. There is not a better time to speak to her than on that day. And in the morning, the weather is actually incredibly nice. Blue skies, nice clouds. I mean, it's the day. October 24th. It's the day where I speak to her. And yeah, so I didn't see her all morning, so I decided to speak to her, I guess, after lunch. I had lunch in this restaurant nearby school, and there's a roach in my bowl of noodles, in my bowl of udon. And it was disgusting. I've never seen anything like that while eating in that restaurant before, but it just happened. And they decided to give us a 90% discount. Well, we had to pay 90% of what we were supposed to pay. So, and that's just a really unfair discount. I should have sued them, but I didn't because my mind was on Mary. Afterwards, I just ran. I stormed back to school to see an ambulance on the ground floor, like someone injured himself or herself. I don't know. But anyways, I was a little distracted by the ambulance. I kind of want to check out what's going on. But nobody really cared at that point. So whatever. I'll just run back up to my classroom. And as I run up to my classroom, Mary walked past me. Mary and her other friend walked past me in the stairwell. And I don't know why. Yes, it's the perfect moment, but I couldn't open my mouth. I couldn't do anything. I looked at her, but I just can't speak. I freeze up. And then afterwards, I started to cry because I realized that I blew my last chance to tell her happy birthday. Yeah. And later that day after school, I tried to speak to her again. Similarly, she showed up. I saw her, but again, didn't speak to her. Which just leaves me in absolute sorrow, I guess. I just regret not speaking to her, but then I still don't understand why I wouldn't speak to her. But spoiler alert, I spoke to her like last week. Anyways, at the number one place, I have to leave very soon. At the number one place, worst day of 2019. It's June 20th. June 20th. Now, several things happened on this day. First off, I went to bed at 2:30 a.m. and I was in the middle of the exam period, so I shouldn't really sleep this late. And then, even though I went to bed at 2:30 a.m., I couldn't fall asleep until 5 a.m. And apparently it's because I drank some milk tea the previous day, and I'm not very tolerant towards caffeine and other nutrient substances, so I don't have enough caffeine digesting enzymes in my alimentary canal, so this shit happens now. Oh, for fuck's sakes. I would like drink coffee, and I wouldn't be able to sleep for that night because I don't have enough enzymes. Yeah, that's very unfortunate. Anyways, I couldn't sleep until 5 a.m. And then on the next day, fortunately, I didn't have to wake up too early because I have the English group discussion exam on that day. So, and you know, my time slot isn't like early in the morning. It was actually at around afternoon, I think. But, I think, or maybe it was like before lunch. No, it was after lunch because after I woke up, I had microwave leftovers for lunch and they were fucking disgusting. They are like, I mean, yeah, I should be grateful that I have food to eat, but still, it was a terrible experience. Probably the worst lunch I've had in 2019. Worst meal. And afterwards, I had a stomach ache. And I don't know if it's because of the milk tea or the microwave lunch, to be honest. But afterwards, I have a stomach ache, a really small one. And when I had the English speaking group discussion exam, I was almost late, but I was there nonetheless. And while speaking, my stomach ache worsened. But I still managed to put up a good act, put up a good face, and speak very nicely. And afterwards, I took a bus back home with Natalie, and on the bus, on the way home, the stomach ache worsens, and I was like, okay, something's wrong with me. I ate something wrong. I don't know. And Natalie, well, I left the bus first because Natalie leaves farther than the school, farther away from the school than I am. And then I rushed back home. I wanted to go to the bathroom. I can't. I can't. Instead, I vomited. And it was terrible. I felt nauseous. I felt scared, afraid. I panicked. Suddenly, my fingers and my toes, they started to lose sensation. They started to have this prickly feel to it, like the static on like a TV. I started to lose sensation, and I started to feel cold. It's June, it's supposed to be hot, but I start to feel cold, like shaking. I was shaking. And my stomach ache was still there. It was so bad. It was just, it's killing me. And I screamed for help. I yelled for help. And at the end, I went to the hospital. My mom accompanied me to the hospital. And, yeah. And it was, the pain already dissipated for a little bit when I calmed down, but it was still there, just a little bit. And then at the end, one of the nurses just gave me an injection at the hip because apparently the blood capillaries are the most abundant at the hips. So I had a hip injection, and not exactly hips, like a little lower than that. But after that, originally, my family planned to have this amazing, just dinner in order to celebrate the end of the exam period, you know, with steaks and salads and pasta. But on that day, at night, I had white congee. And if you don't know what kanji is, good for you, because well, good kanji exists, but white kanji tastes worse than like a piece of white paper. It's you're literally eating nothing, like a bunch of fluffy, watery nothing, and it's fucking sad. Sad, yeah. Uh, and I mean, yeah, it could have been way worse. This day actually had a pretty similar premise with the worst day of 2017, where I also had um, stomach ache. But I thought this day is, I guess, slightly worse. So, yeah, what are your worst days in 2019? Comments below. And thanks for watching. And best days will happen tomorrow.